semji semla tebe se tongju mechang sale war macho kuyang lode na rangba maying zamdu ja seta ta lunga yesum nan zocha ta nga zo sem chab yo restro an tende inde ka zo ta chi tajin shuga na jing sem man durwe gi tapdi ane sanje gi che yongsu zobati ane sem durwe gi tapdi na song jab res.
When we think of the human experience, we're a composite of body, mind, and with speech running between the two. And from within these three, body, speech, and mind, the mind is the most important. And with regard to the subduing of the mind, or the subjugation of the unruly emotions and thoughts, etc., that run wild in our mind, then the Buddha gave numerous teachings.
Tinjita so sem do tabla mambo son yoba yena yata de ne so dirba yena tani sem gi ngol rang so tagu go yoba de chila pha ta ma yimba tani sem gi nala sem ji sem la te ba se tang khen ji sem sing so su ji tang dan ja gi sem sing ji ni ta de ba yo ma de yena ya ane sem korang khan nang do ta ne sem korang gi de sem korang ngol te ba res.
So as I mentioned, the Buddha gave innumerable teachings, all of which have the sole purpose of subduing or subjugating the unruly mind. Now, if one were to kind of put all of these together, or to combine all of these in a very simple way, then one shouldn't look outside of oneself for a method or a means in dependence upon which one can subdue the mind. Rather, one should look within oneself. So here then the first line of the poem reads, when mind is watching mind. As such, rather than looking outside of oneself, one must choose to look within. One will find then that mind and the one who is supposedly watching mind are not separate, rather they are one and the same.
Tongju mechang sale was ta sem sing dal kado da yebtang de dus chen tongju yorben garitang yoresna dindabuju yoresn do yebtang kado yo mare de yinayang 직단 지무 팁스 마인비기 지 살차단 템바직 된지 ngol so ta adres.
So when one kind of looks within, then looking at the mind, there is nothing to see. It is vividly clear. So when one tries to look at mind, there is nothing, there is no color, neither is there a shape upon which to focus. Rather, when mind is watching mind, there is nothing to see. But it isn't that there is something obscured or that there is something hidden away. Rather, the nature of one's mind then is something that is vividly clear.
Tati gandes chen tarang tapshe jabo gande insewa ina tene macho bas ta dele ji samnon ramen ramangbo tang chene ji johan jamne namdo sha nyeng mare samyan rabo da ji dig mare samyan rabo tende ge samno gi tene joha jaba maimba macho ba kuyangbo chene lhobo chen deba tengang las.
So how to do that? How to then kind of rest within the nature of mind and see then this natural luminosity of mind? We're advised then in the third line that one should rest naturally. And how should that rest occur? It should be uncontrived. Here then, one shouldn't confuse oneself, nor should one kind of stir up the mind, but rather one should simply allow things to settle. One shouldn't give rise to an emotion, neither should one give rise to a chain of thoughts, but rather remain without contriving the mind, free and at ease.
Rambab maing zam jas. Te telata zojo kaya majevi te yan te sem maing wa zam jing ngala te de de baris.
As such, when one allows thought to rest naturally and everything becomes still, becomes quiet, then one should be alert. If distraction occurs, if one becomes distracted, if thought arises that would kind of ruin one's meditation, one should recognize that and simply let it go. And remain, as is written here, naturally, resting naturally, and without distraction.
So I think when we do this kind of looking into your mind, I think first thing we have to forget about all the intellectual understanding of what is mind. or philosophical ideas that we have put into our brain, or even as scientific ideas of how the brain and all these cells work. So because this intellectual understanding can affect the actual understanding of the mind, I think. So therefore you should be a little bit like a young child or forget all these things. I didn't realize, but I was told by Chabjitim Khenze Rinpoche to get the mind instruction from his only 16 Karmapa. And I was only about 7 years old, or 7 or 6 years old. And they would sit next to each other. And then Karmapa would tell me, okay, tomorrow you have to tell me what your minds look like. Then I go and think all night, oh, my mind is like a mountain. And go back and I report next day. And both of them, ha, 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 good laugh. So they were sort of waiting for my next reply. Well, every time I come with very strange ideas. So I think, like child's mind, we don't have so much concept, sort of just pure. Then look back. Tela namto chichuya manga masim rangote. Sharwe shila matipar chungna shang tegale ta namdo chawati namdo di ta denesin gobjang namdo tama sharwada tene ngon zin tu goyoris.
Whatever thought occurs from that state, without stopping or analyzing, watch its very nature. Its arising doesn't obscure the absolute nature. Whatever occurs, relax right there. So here then, when we are trying to remain within then the natural state, the uncontrived natural state, then if thought occurs, if emotion erupts, if you will, at that time it is imperative to initially recognize that a thought occurrence.
Manga semra rango deus, ta ji namdo shana lamsang tin ti ngola pa. Ji namdo ji sharsong samsam ji ngosin ti namdo ti ngola ta.
When the thought arises, as we read in the second line, one shouldn't stop it, neither should one analyze it. Rather, when the thought arises, one should recognize it. Recognizing the thought, then one should turn one's attention towards its nature, and as such relax or rest then within the empty nature of mind. As such, without stopping or analyzing, watch the thought's very nature.
Sharwe shila mati bara chuna shalyang tegal leus. Chidang namdo shar sona ji khorang ngola dibge rebesna dibge mare namdo lobur bachi shalyong yore. Dibge mare te indi kona shi namdo khorang ngola te jabaina nko ranjingi pa jun robain ye robain te ne yeba tikana pa shajeres.
So the arising of thought within the experience of resting within the uncontrived nature then, the arising of thought doesn't obscure the absolute nature of mind. By recognizing thought, thinking of looking into its nature then, whatever occurs, whatever thought manifests, whatever emotion it might be, recognizing the nature of that thought or emotion, then one should simply relax into its nature, and naturally the thought will subside.
So, quite often Khenze Rinpoche used to give an example of throwing a stone at the dog. If you throw a stone at a dog, then dog will chase the stone. So when dog chases a stone, you can throw many more stones at the dog. Then if you throw a stone at a lion, the lion will look back at you, and then you cannot throw the second stone. So like that, I think when one thought arises, if you follow the thought, then one thought will chain reaction, lead to another thought, like many thoughts. So when the one thought, like one stone to the lion, and lion look back, and then the thought will sort of disappear. So Debi Jesu Mandangshi Maung Dokwen Dimasu Tekara Chinyo Trawan di Jisasundra Shesu Tras. Then Debi Namdo Chikche Ni Jagursam Kazan Chikche Ni Chensam, Debi Namdos Chikche. Then the Maung Ben Namdos that Chikche Ni Chokosame Din Masus.
Don't follow thoughts about the past. Don't anticipate thoughts about the future. Directly transcend the external world. That is called the four parts without three. As such, one shouldn't dwell in the past, thinking about things that one has done in whatever form that may take. Similarly then, one shouldn't anticipate the future, thinking about making too many plans and reflecting on what one should or shouldn't do at a particular time in the future, etc. One is advised to avoid these two. And to then directly transcend the external world. So here when we reflect using the 3 times, then we've spoken about not dwelling in the past, and similarly then about anticipating the future. Directly transcending the external world means to not become involved in that which is in front of us at the very moment, in any given time. As such, we think about overcoming then the thoughts of the 3 times. This then is the 4th part without 3. If you maintain the recognition of thoughts, you will feel that they do not truly begin, remain, or end. Though you notice them, they have no effect on your true nature. That is the bare natural state, the way it is. As such, when we think about the recognition of thoughts, here then it's essential that we recognize that the kind of empty nature of thoughts. As such, really when we look at a thought, it doesn't truly kind of begin or come into existence. So for example, if we take a crystal and we put it in sunlight, for example, then almost instantaneously kind of rainbow colors will kind of reflect from the stone. Similarly then, when we think about mind, when it is put before various objects, etc., it is almost as if instantaneously thoughts kind of arise. However, when the condition for their arisal, in the example of the crystal, the light is absent, the rainbow-colored light is naturally absent as well. So similarly, when the object that gives, or the idea to give rise to a continuity of thought is missing, then it is as if the thought were never there. It's not an inherent or integral part of the nature of one's mind. So the arisal of a particular thought is not an integral part or an inherent part. It's not one and the same, if you will, with the natural state of mind itself. So if a thought isn't an inherently existent part of one's mind, then its ending or its cessation can similarly not be an integral or inherent part of mind. As such, what to talk about here, it's remaining. So then the question is, do thoughts not exist at all? They exist, but they don't truly exist. And so, for example, when we think about then the way there is no inherent kind of arising or cessation of thoughts, integral to then the nature of one's mind. Then, with regard to mind itself cannot be neither benefited nor harmed by the arisal or then the cessation of these seemingly tangible, seemingly integral parts of our being, or these thoughts, if you will. As such, we can notice the thoughts arising then, but then they will have no effect on on our true nature. As such, the advice is given then to simply rest in the true nature of mind.
Rikdong sangha jayin di nyamji kintu lamche na trupa rangro tokwe de nyurdu nyeba tobar chas ta teta bogi chik tes chik rangi sem dingla teni nyeba dawa ji nye nyamnyong dawa ji nyeba ina tati pa jun chong ya de keshimba shu res.
So this then is the experience of the bare natural state, the way it is now. If you take that empty awareness that is open and carefree as the path, all the time, both during formal meditation practice and also afterward, in the post-meditation time, you will quickly and surely acquire a confident realization that confusion is freed by itself.
Te kauso ta teta bogi nyamnyong di rikdong sangha jayin di nyamjang kauso ta ngaran so gom jab cheni nyamlen chebe kauso ta semong chong re. Ta tene nyamja mayin begi tene jetob jawa kauso yon tu jundo tene yang do kang tutu chigi semong des chig tus kanang to korne tene taya de ta lamdo chebe ki tap tene res.
So here then, there are two things to bear in mind. So the empty kind of awareness, that is then the formal kind of meditation practice, if you will, simply to remain within that bare natural state, the way it is, open and carefree, and that's our kind of spiritual path, if you will. But when it comes to post-meditation period, the afterward, if you will, of the formal meditation practice, then it is essential to, at all times and in all situations, as much as one is possible, to look at then the nature of mind. Look at when the thoughts arise, to simply look at their nature. And this is similar then to the formal meditation practice, where one sustains the empty awareness, the nature of the mind. So as such, during the post-meditation period, as much as one is able, one looks at the nature of one's mind.
So something to do when you get stuck in the New York traffic. That in the moon traffic jam drabudang, elevator guba drabudang, and when it's a bus guba drabudang, number guba drabudang, the come like that. Chikana to conduct style to Kolela, or Ijiminji Kambaji Duncha, the Chikoy Omaros.
So I'm not really joking here. When you are stuck in the New York traffic, or when you're in a kind of elevator, or when you're on a bus, when you're traveling on an airplane, etc., it's very easy simply to look within, to look at mind. Of course, when I say kind of meditate like this, to look within, to look at the nature of mind, I'm not suggesting that you kind of have to try to kind of sit cross-legged and kind of straighten your spine and put your hands in the meditation posture, etc. Not at all. Here one just simply looks within.
Today indeed that tentabu nyamlin jundu nyamsulen nyamlin cherwaina and then trubig na one de tamje deba truba ba ranjing gitani chik tron robe gitani nyebanye seorbeta topik dingdi then nyurdu toba cheba yins.
And as such, mention is made here then that if you if you continue this practice as much as you're able, putting a great deal of effort into it, then you will quickly and surely acquire a confident realization that confusion then is freed by itself. So the confusion then of grasping at the seemingly true existence of things will naturally be kind of set free by itself.
Draws lama rangi sem yerme tui sewe nga nyambar jaje temeche nyedun chukyu rangshal taas.
It is very helpful then, we read, to mingle your mind inseparably with your teachers. By settling in equipoise within that state, developing faith and devotion, you will meet the natural face of Dhammakaya. I
always tell some kind of newcomer who never had an opportunity to meet like my lineage. From my lineage, it's like Jamji Khyentse Rinpoche. Of course, different lineage, they all have very realized master. So those who didn't have opportunity to meet those masters, so I always say, when you say this mix,
mingle
your mind with Guru. Always, to my people who come to me and my friends, I always recommend Jamji Khyentse Rinpoche. Because physically now, not there, but like in the movie he saw, Dalai Lama said, spiritual energy or whatever, the lineage is very much alive. So we can always have this kind of Guru. No, I don't think it's really necessary to have someone who's physically there. So to give teaching, to transmit lineage, okay, younger lamas, lineage holders can do, but the root Guru or source of inspiration, from my lineage, like Jamji Khyentse Rinpoche, I always say. And nowadays, thanks to the modern technology, we have a lot of videos, we have photos, we know how they look like, we know how they sound like, So very much we can still connect. Someone like Longchen Ba, Jime Lingpa, or these great masters, we don't have much idea how, unless looking at the painting Thangka. And Thangka also, each one looks different. so now we have this, photos and videos. I think very helpful. So spiritually, still not life, doesn't matter. I think, like his own Dalai Lama says, spiritual energy very much life. Lineage is very much life. You can get the instructions, teachings, empowerment, but source inspiration like Khyentse Rinpoche. So, I think also in Nyingma and Kagyu tradition, maybe in other tradition also, but always there is end of the Guru Yoga, the dissolving the three syllable letters from Guru's forehead, Guru's throat, Guru's heart. Syllable letter Om, Ah, Hung radiates three lights dissolving into one's forehead, throat, and heart center. And then purifies our body, speech, mind, accumulating, purifies. And then at the end, the three lights comes dissolving into one's forehead, throat, and heart, and purifies subtle obscuration. And then the Guru dissolves into one's heart. So that's where I think what we're describing here, mingle one's mind. So little understanding, if you can gain from some practice or lots of meditating, then that moment I think that's the time to sort of looking at the mind. And if you have some experience, then understand that is what we call the Idam Guru. Tui sewe ngang nyambar rajin temeche. So within this, you naturally feel very strong devotion. Nyeden chokyu rangshata. So this is ultimate Dharmakaya Guru, or seeing the face of the Dharmakaya. Oh, that was English. Sorry. Excuse me.
Shall I say in Tibetan?
Huh?
Shall I say in Tibetan?
Okay. Then the song was Chebar Meta Nyenjong Dang Zangmi Sultim Mixing songs Sabdin Nimbo Nanjuji Ziji Zamba Yarmato. So we should never kind of carry away in kind of high view. We should hear in the last sentence, always meditate on impermanent, have a renunciation, and especially the conduct, law of the conduct, law of the karma.
Karmic law.
Huh?
Effort.
If you are ordained monk or nun, then very strictly follow the Vinaya, law and conduct. Then if you are a lay practitioner, I think the law of the karma we have to follow. Because sometimes view is very high, and then we jump in the view, and then we fall down. So I think view has to be vast, and our conduct has to be very thoroughly.
Very fine.
Very fine. So, sabdeni bo nanjoji tseji yaro mandaji. So, tipe masita sabegi ten sabuyi, ane rangiti kasota ning tseji to nyamlen chishos.
As such, Especially guard the continuity of impermanence, renunciation, and pure discipline, like your own eyes. Never diminish your one-pointed diligence in the heart of the matter, the essential yoga of profound meaning. As such, it is imperative at all times and in all situations to apply single-pointed diligence at the heart of the matter, to essentialize or to actualize then this essential yoga of profound meaning.
퇴삼 금숨 빼마이 지조 타도기 땐라 페바 율디 인 닝베 된디 닝르제. So Khendzira must always emphasize on Thöba means hearing the Dharma, Samba means contemplating, Gomba means meditation. So always Khendzira Rinpoche recommends here also like that. I think we should listen to Dharma, contemplate it, and then try to put into practice. So if we just listen to so many dharmas and then we don't contemplate, we don't think about, then it becomes my diet book. I have so many diet books and I'm still quite heavy. This is, I think, happens quite a lot with some of what we call dharma bumps. We collect so many books and attend all the teachings, and our character never change. Then it's like my diet book. So maybe you don't need too many diet books, but one good diet book, and if you follow it, you will lose weight. So like that. Teke menga disi di jebi chutin tambandi, nyasang tongpa namkatara chela timbe chuchurchis. 다 되다 보기 최근 님보다 보기 단 되지다 보디 아니 제가 투제비 제도 표가 있어.
May this delightful sacred offering cloud of essential pith instructions cause you to gain realization of the definitive secret that is like space. So here then this is described as the kind of quintessence of the Dharma, the essential pith instructions.
Jebi Chutin Tambadi, I think, which is writing this to some kind of higher Lama, the way he described it, it's like an offering. Then Nyesanga Topa the Namkata Wujik, then Chirangi Tula, Chuma Shochiks.
So if you put this into practice, then this particular instruction, if engaged diligently, will cause you then to gain realization of the definitive secret, which is likened here to space.
So I think that's it.